Good evening. This is Olayinka Adeniyi. I'll be talking to us on Africa in transition, the role of women in peace and security. I know this topic is important for us at this season and time in Africa. This is because the African continent, particularly in the most recent past, has been going through a lot of issues: internal conflicts, ethnic wars within individual countries, bad leadership, corruption, injustice, and a lot of other responses from citizens and civil societies. In Nigeria, for example, we've had the youth coming up to protest against several injustices and the acts of violence that are being meted on citizens by the police. So we've had different cases of conflict issues occurring within Africa. So this evening, my objective in coming alive with this topic is to talk about the importance of women and the role that women have to play in the issue of peace and security in the African continent. So I have like about 8 points that I'll be talking on within the topic. I'll be introducing the topic to us generally. Number 2, I'll be talking about the status quo of the African continent on the issue of peace and security. I'll be talking about causes of conflicts within the continent. Number 4, I'll be talking about the effect of the conflict. Number 5, I'll be talking about challenges of women's involvement in peace and security issues. I'll be talking about case study of some countries and the impact that we have had where they played roles in the issue of peace and security. I'll be talking about what it means to get women involved in peace and security issues, the impact, and how we can get women involved. And then I'll be concluding the topic. So let me first start by saying that, like I said earlier, Africa is still in the process of getting there. Africa is in the process of getting to development, is in the process of achieving peace within its frontiers. Many African countries are in conflict. They are in conflict situation presently. Even since independence, a lot of African countries have had problems with the issue of security, with the issue of conflict within them. And I want to talk about the fact that presently, several African countries have insecurity problems. I've given examples. There is terrorism. In fact, the one that is happening in Nigeria is deep. There is total anarchy. Countries are at war within themselves. Ethnic riots, ethnic wars, corruption, violation of human rights, poverty, ethnic marginalizations, insurgencies, huge spending on military ammunitions. And it is only God and wisdom that can help Africa. Africa is full of skilled personnel, people who are talented, and the continent itself is huge with natural minerals, God-given. And probably this is one of the reasons why we've been having problems. Because where these natural resources are in abundance, and there is still poverty, huge poverty to a great extent, then it is most likely that there will be reactions from citizens to the way government has been putting these resources to use. So I would say, like from research, about 15 countries are at war presently in Africa. Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Nigeria particularly, even South Africa, where a lot of armed attack, a lot of attack on citizens, foreigners. It is huge. And this topic is coming at this point in time for us to reflect on what has been happening, what has been done, to what extent attempt has been done to reduce or to get rid of these issues, and to check whether there has been any role that women has played or not. You know, there is a saying in my place that if you have been doing something a particular way for so long and you have not had change, and what you want is change, then you must assess what you have been doing and the way you have been doing it, and then you must change what you have been doing so that you can get a different result. And that is one of the objectives of this talk this evening. So I would want to talk about the causes of insecurity, the large insecurity level that we have in the African continent. I would say the causes probably is as a result of the proliferation of different ethnic groups that have come together, that have been bound together at the end of colonialism in Africa. But at independence, different ethnic groups within a particular location were brought together and fused together as particular countries. Probably the differences amongst them is one reason why we have these insurgencies, why we have this conflict among the ethnic groups. But largely, the cost of insecurity presently is as a result, I would say, as a result of poverty, high level of unemployment, the emotions of citizens being high, that there is no food to eat, some go to school, they don't have jobs, and it's not as if the countries, they lack natural resources or the wherewithal for citizens to live well. So some of the causes of this insecurity, of this conflict, as I would call it, can be bad governance and corruption. To a large extent, yes, to a large extent, that could be what is causing this. People are reacting. They are reacting so much to the reflections in the society, to what they see in the environment. And that can be the causes of insecurity presently. There are different cases, different stories of people, of people from the African continent who go out and they go back, and then their experiences back home is nothing to talk about. It's so bad. One ethnic fighting against the other, even within the same community. All these are issues of insecurity. All these are issues of conflict. Robbery, attacks, violations of human rights. All of them, different stories coming up every day on the news. Reported cases of the abuse, infringement of human rights. All of them. And so what are the effects of this insecurity? What are the effects of the conflict? Is so rife You have loss of life, which is basic. Lots of people are dying. We are not talking about the pandemic now. We are not talking about coronavirus. We are talking about the conflict that is happening, the ethnic wars, the protestations from citizens, the riots happening, the fight, the internal wars amongst people within the continent of Africa, within individual countries. What does it result into? What does it give us? What do we see as the effect of it? We have unemployment. We have destruction of infrastructures. You have citizens fighting and destroying, setting buildings ablaze, setting vehicles ablaze. You find students going on protests against the government and they are destroying things. And you find government responding by sending armed people to shoot and to fire tear gas at the people. And what do we have? Death, mass death. We have loss of life. We have disruption of economic activities. And when this is happening, of course, poverty is increasing. And when things like this happen, we all know that women and children, they bear the brunt of it. They feel it the most. How do they feel it the most? If they are not personally affected by death, then it's either their children or their husbands. And in the places where we have insurgencies, where we have the Boko Haram and things like this that they are fighting, what do? They kidnap, they abuse women sexually, they rape them, they force them into marriages. Even small girls. So we have rape of women. We have sexual abuse of women. We have emotional heartbreak. We have widowhood coming up in large amounts because the men are killed, the children suffer, and the economic situation worsens. We are saying poverty is high in Africa. We are saying Africa is undeveloped. And in a situation where we have a lot of this coming up and properties are destroyed and infrastructures are destroyed and there is a disruption of economic activity, definitely poverty will increase. And this has been happening for so long. What is it that has been happening? How far has the government come up to try to amend the situation or to make things better? What have been involved? How far have they gone? So from research, we have realized that women have not been involved in this issue. You ask me how, and I'll be talking about it towards the end of this talk. Women have not been involved. In the recent time in Nigeria, we had the youth come out en masse to stage a protest that enough of what police are doing, enough of their violence against citizens. We have civil societies coming up to join them. We have a lot of activities coming up. What is it that government itself is doing? Nothing. And that is why we say bad governance is one of the scenario of the situation of conflict and insecurity in the African continent. So what are the challenges of women involvement in peace and insecurity? Why is it that women cannot get involved? Why is it that women have not been getting involved? Women have always been restricted. They have always been limited from involvement in governance. And I think generally it's because of the perception of women, the way women are perceived and the way they are thought of and the way they are considered in the African continent. They are not seen as people that can come up and lead. They are not seen as people that can come forward and talk and speak. Thank God things are changing. Thank God for people like Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala that that are pushing for the fact that women can really achieve a lot and that they should be involved. Thank God for the international scenario that is changing, but we are just getting there. And let us not forget that what we did in the past, we see the result in the future. So what we are doing presently, the result is ahead of us. We are going to see it afterwards. So what we are seeing now, the present situation, the present scenario of insecurity in Africa is as a result of what has been done in the past. And so if we are saying women have not been involved till now, and this is what we see, then we can imagine what will happen if they don't get involved now. So part of the challenges of women's involvement in peace and security is the wrong and patriarchal perception and mentality of womanhood. One of the challenges is ignorance or illiteracy. It is illiteracy, it is ignorance and good understanding that makes people to think, to have patriarchal perception of women. Lack of enlightenment. And when I also talk about illiteracy, I also talk about lack of education of women. A lot of women, we don't have enough women that are educated to be able to stand at the forefront and bring things on the table. Why? Because heretofore, women have been restricted from enough education that will make them act in a large number to sit down on the thinking table and raise issues that has to do or raise comments or give input on issues that has to do with security. So we talk about women poverty. Sometimes ago, I attended a workshop in UK, and it was about children poverty. And people were asking questions. Is there actually anything like child poverty? Yes. And there is what we call women poverty. Because of the restriction of women in education, in skills, today what we have is women poverty. Women, a large number of women on the African continent, they are impoverished. They don't have the economic wherewithal to stand, to contest for posts, for leadership positions, for political positions that will put women in the situation where they can contribute to the issue of peace and security within their countries, not to talk of within African continents. We have lack of training or ignorance in security issues. How many women are given the opportunity to work with the security forces? Just of recent, there was the case of this policewoman in Nigeria that was sent to the disciplinary committee because she got pregnant, and they said she got pregnant out of wedlock. Who raises issues when men do things like that? Who raises issues about men impregnating 2-3 women at the same time, or getting involved in sexual misconduct outside marriage? Sometimes the law is restrictive of women contributing whatever they have to the development of their communities. The way the laws have been framed, the way they have been formulated, sometimes they act as a stumbling block to having women involved in issues like this. How many women do we have in the police force as compared to men? So we actually need to sit down as individual countries and look at these statistics and then forge a way out of the issues. So I want to talk about the case study of women's involvement in peace and security. When I was doing my research, I realized that in some countries in the recent past, women have played parts in resolving issues of security in their countries. In situations where they have come up with ideas of how to go about it, how they can get involved. Even if they have not been called into it, they have seen ways that they can get involved and they can make changes. So I look at the case of the Liberian women's peace movement, when the women forced warring parties into a resolution. according to the report, he said the women blocked the doors and they prevented anyone from leaving the peace talks until they have signed the pact. Women are powerful, and when given the opportunity, they can make a difference. Yes, we say women are emotional. It is part of this, the emotionality, that makes them powerful instruments to bring about change, because they can feel. And when it comes to security issues, they feel it the most. They are most affected. They feel the pain. And you know, sometimes it is the way something pains you that you react. When you are pushed to the wall and you react, then there is a difference. Because women can feel it. They are the people that knows, something must be done urgently. And if they are allowed to come in like that, then there will be changes. In the case of Burundi women, they too insisted on their place at the peace table and influencing the outcome. Even when they were not wanted, they insisted that they had to sit there. The South Sudanese women too, they insisted and they ensured 35% quota in the revitalized agreement to enable women's representation in the transnational government structure. You see, for these examples, women have come up, even when they have not been called upon. They have come up and insisted that no, women must have a say. They must be included. You know, when we talk about inclusion, I've been writing some papers and arguing on the issue of gender inclusion, women inclusion, when it comes to so many things in societies. And we are talking about the inclusion of women on the issue of peace and security in Africa today. There is a need for a strategy, for a structure, for policies, and for a reform of them that will get women included in this course. And so somebody is asking, what does it mean to get women involved? And how can you get them involved? What can be the impact? Getting women involved means we must recognize their role, their importance in every issue. Women are powerful. Women are the ones that, in fact, the men that we have in societies today, is it not women that trained them? Is it not women that brought them forth? We always hear the talk, beside every successful man is a strong woman. But we only just recite it like our childhood rhymes. And we don't think about them, we don't consider them and use and reflect on them to make changes in our lives or in our societies. Women can be important initiators. They can bring ideas to the table, innovative ideas, strategies. You know, men are good economists. If you give a woman a little amount like this, she can give you 10,000 ways of managing it and increasing it. Very good in bringing up ideas. If given the opportunity, they can play the role of initiating or formulating ideas that will bring about lasting peace, that will give us security in the continent. Let's get few women to the table. Let's form a forum of African women. Even when women are not educated, highly intelligent, bring them together and let's talk about these issues. How can we bring about peace? How can we have lasting security in our continent? Women can be involved in public decision making, in policy making, in legislation, in advocacy. They can participate in the peace negotiations. It's not just men that can appear there. Women can educate, they can enlighten, they can come together, they can network, they can collaborate to do all these things. And women can pray. Now, we don't spiritualize everything, but we also don't underplay the importance of prayers. Women can be more spiritual than men. And when they come together, God answers. In so many ways than one, bringing women together like this, women can engage with local communities. They can serve as role models. They can provide support to victims, particularly victims of sexual violence. They can act as counselors to them. We have women experts in so many fields now. So many who are researching on this area of peace and security. We can have them form bodies together and then come as a group of women to give their contributions. This is how this can be. So far, men have been on board. So far, people have been doing this. This sector has been doing this. But women have not been involved. Now we are saying, let us get women included. Let us get them involved and let us see the change that can come about. How they can work in all these areas. Operational effectiveness. Supporting. Overseeing. Women must participate in political platforms. Not just acting as observers. No. For so long, women have been used as second as right and left hand people. They help to coordinate. They help to bring communities together. They help to talk to our people. The large number of women that we have, they talk to them at the marketplaces for people to win political posts. Let women participate themselves, not just as observers or supporters, but as the personnel themselves, as leaders. For all this, women empowerment and gender equality is necessary. There is no how we will not get to this point. All these things that we have been talking, what has led to this insurgency in our countries? It is because we have what we call gender inequality. It is because women have not been empowered enough to be able to take up this post. Yes. And so if we want a change, if we want things to be done differently, if we want results, we want peace within our borders, then we should talk about the issue of gender equality, women's empowerment, gender mainstreaming. Without good democracy, without respect for human rights, without justice and the rule of law, all these insurgencies cannot die out. For countries where the government is still busy fighting the rioters, fighting the protestants, they will still continue. They will still continue. But women can rise up to play their part. They need to be given the platform. They need to be given the opportunity. The society needs to understand that women have a role to play, as I've said, and they must be given the opportunity to do so. The African continent, as individual countries, must come up with national action plans, and not just formulating them, because I know from research in most of the African countries, especially Nigeria, we are used to having laws that we hide in the cupboards, laws that we put somewhere and is not implemented. Nobody acts on them. And we have continued for so long. And this is the result that we have. And we are not pleased with it. Then we need to change. Let us allow women to sit at the table. Let's call for women forum. We've been calling for confab and confab in Nigeria for so long. Let's call for a women's forum, for women confab. Let there be a platform for women to come and talk about the issue of security. Let's bring our ideas to the table. Like I said, women are good with ideas. They are good initiators. Innovative ideas that they can contribute. As long as they are given the opportunity to do so. So far, they have not, because we have not seen the importance. But I want to believe that after this talk this evening, after looking at the pathetic situation of security in our continent and the effect that we have of its impact, not just on the economy, not just on the socio-economic aspects of the communities, but the loss of lives that we have every day. Just last week, there was ethnic fights in Nigeria, in Ibadan. Properties were destroyed, cars were burnt. And it's happening like that. Huge insecurity of lives, not just of properties. Attack by herdsmen in farms, on the road, killing people. The government needs to calm down, sit at the table. And so far, if there have been meetings, if there have been calls for forums that have been having, how many have been women inclusive? How many have included women in the sittings? It's important, it's needful, it's necessary. In the past till now, we can see what has been put on the table and we can see the impact. If we want a change, we can see that there is a line. Women are not included. And we can see from the discussion that women have a role to play. They can give advice too. They can talk. They can teach. They can educate. They can enlighten. They can get involved in peace talks, even in negotiating. It's high time that we stopped the mentality of looking down at women and what they can do. It's an African mentality that is killing the continent, that is responsible for the continuous perpetration of insecurity in the continent. And there's the need for a change. There's the need for change. There's the need for change. And the way it can be done is a change, a reorientation, a change of mentality, a change of perception first, which will allow or permit sitting down to make to call for action on this issue. Women can contribute. They should be given the opportunity to do so. They should not be looked down upon. And like I said, in so many ways, they can contribute. They can help with policy making, with legislation, with advocacy. They can participate in the negotiations. And they can pray. But majorly, the lack of their empowerment and the way they are perceived has prevented them so far from contribution. That particular aspect must be changed. If we go into history, we can see the many ways that women have, single women, even in the African tradition, single women, how they've been involved in bringing about change. You can imagine with the large number of educated and enlightened women that we have in society today, if they are involved, if they are included in these issues, then there will be drastic changes. Drastic changes. If in history of traditional Africa, one woman or single women forum, they've been able to do so much, only the few then they were educated. You can now picture with the large number of educated women that we have today, what can happen? What impact can we have in society? What effects can it make? It's needful for women to be involved. Let's get our women educated. Let's get them empowered. Let's get them mentored. Let's get them motivated. A lot of women have been disorientated because of what is happening in society. Oh, there is nothing you can do that can work. Even when they see it, they will downplay it. When a woman makes a simple progress, you will hear all sort of issues. She's not married. Hey, she's a single mother. You don't know how she got into that position. Enough of that. Enough of that. Enough of negative criticisms. Let's get positive actions in support of women coming out to make impact, to give what they have to improve their societies. Let's put away the side remarks. Let's put away the negatives. Let's change our orientation about women, the patriarchal mentality, the perception of women. What can a woman do? What a man can do, a woman can do much, much better. If it affects them so much, if it pains them so much, if the impact of these insurgencies and insecurity affect them so much, pains them so much, they know where it pains. They know where it pinches. Then they should be able to bring out, to lay for us on the table what should be done to bring about changes. Let's give women the opportunity to do so. Africa is full of talented women, skilled women, educated women, even the uneducated ones. Now, I'm not promoting lack of education. I'm not promoting illiteracy. But the average African woman that is not educated is smart and intelligent. And I can lay before the table so many of them. My late mother-in-law, very smart, not educated, but very intelligent. Only she didn't have the opportunity of education. And that is the case of a lot of women in Africa today. They didn't have the opportunity of education. If given the opportunity, they will make changes. But now let's talk about the large number of the educated ones that we have. They can still contribute, but they still need to be given the platform. Like I said, a lot of them have been disoriented. A lot of them have shied away from public view because of criticism. I was doing a research on cyber violence against women, and I realized that a lot of women have withdrawn even from online activities. Why? Because of violence. The same violence that we have in the physical space has been transferred, has been extended to the online space. Violence against women, abuse, sexual abuse, and it's still happening to date. And it's restricting a lot of women, limiting a lot of women from getting involved in issues of development. Even the educated ones. Some of the educated ones that want to participate, they are restricted by their spouses. The men don't want anything that would shift them to second space. Even if this would change societies, even if this will mean a better future for the next generation, there is the need for change. I believe today that with this short time that I've spent on talking about the security status quo of Africa, the causes, the effects, I've spoken about the challenges of getting women involved. I've given some examples of where women have gotten involved, even in cases of war. And I've talked about how women can get involved, what they can do, the role they can play. And I've also talked about how we can get them involved, what the society needs to do. Individual spouses of women, the single women who have been discouraged, those who want to work, who are ready, and the role of the society in getting women involved. I hope, like we always say when we do, what do I call it now? Debates. I hope with all these my points, I've been able to convince you that the African woman has a role to play in peace and security of the continent, if only given the opportunity. If only the limitations and restrictions, the barriers are taken away, and they are allowed to contribute their quota. I believe the time has come for Africa to experience a change. Africa has long been in war against itself. But we are coming together now to think and to bring forth suggestions that will bring solutions. One of them is this one for today, that women should be included. The issue of having peace and security should be women inclusive if it will work, if there will be a change. Let's get women involved. Let's get them to the table. Let's give them the opportunity to give what they have. God bless Africa. Thank you.